We've got in our lives so many different duties to our families, to ourselves, to so many different ways, places. How do we create that hierarchy? Like, how do we know what's more important? And also then, how do we juggle them? There isn't any equation that I can give you. There isn't any one right answer. For me, on a personal level, what I have found is that the way to do it is to ask myself several questions. First of all, is this duty something that is in alignment with where I know I am going spiritually in my life? Because there's a lot of different places that we also get our ideas of duties from. So for example, we have our own idea. Every one of us, if I went around and said, okay, tell me all your duties, everybody would have a list of what we think our duties are. Some come from within ourselves. A lot of them come from our culture. Scroll social media or watch TV and you're going to discover you've got a duty to lose weight. You've got a duty to be much, much more attractive than you are. You've got a duty to have really white teeth and clear skin. Right? I mean, this is what advertising is. It basically tells us that if you are not looking your best, you have somehow failed. I just spent, as I mentioned, so many months in California where pretty much everywhere you go, there's some or other anti-aging clinic, place, billboard, sign. Anti-aging is like the big thing. Reverse aging, anti-aging. Now, obviously, we all know that time only moves forward. We know that we all have physical bodies that are doing what matter does, which is degenerate, at pretty predictable rates. We've got some ability through what we eat, our exercise, our mindset, supplements, to make it a healthier run. Don't smoke, you get an extra several years. But the physical body is degenerating. We can't anti-age or reverse age. But I mention it because there's this idea that somehow, if you are aging, you are failing. That you're failing in your duty. That if you've got gray hair and wrinkles, you've somehow failed. Like, didn't you see the sign on your corner? You should have gone into the store, into the clinic. Like, there's a billboard everywhere. Don't give in to aging. So then we think, well, it's our duty to not age. It's our duty to look like we're 25 our entire lives. So when you think about duties, we've actually got a lot of duties that are not really duties, that have come into us because of marketing, because of advertisement. Then we've got some duties that are not our duties, but our culture imposes them upon us. Be a good girl, right? Good girls don't do this. Good boys don't do that. Behave yourself. What are the neighbors going to say? Right? We've got duties that are given not because they're actually our personal dharma, not because they're leading to our awakening, but just because they're sort of societal norms. Don't laugh too loudly, don't sit like that, don't speak like this, don't use those words, don't go here, don't act like that. And of course, each society has different norms. But a lot of us, we internalize these as duties. I have a duty to be a good girl. I have a duty to be the good boy or the strong boy. You know, whatever our norms are that we're given. Let me be very clear. Those are not your duties. We may choose to abide by societal norms. It certainly makes for smoother functioning societies when kind of everybody does the same thing. But you also end up with a lot of oppression. You end up with a lot of repression. You end up with a lot of discrimination. So do not think that it is your duty to do what the neighbors say is what a good girl does or a good boy does. It's not your duty to make the neighbors jealous of you or your family. So once you start teasing out the duties that our social media feed, that the advertising, that society, that our neighbors give us, we realize we've actually got a lot fewer duties. And those duties are to our own awakening, to our own truth. But again, that doesn't mean that it can only happen in a cave. As Lord Krishna taught in the Gita, it happens through fulfillment of those duties, which actually are part of your Dharma. And that's not something that there's an equation for, but it is something that each of us know inside. And so don't allow anyone else to convince you of what your duty is. Check in with yourself. On some level, the caterpillar knows its duty is to become a butterfly. And when it gets that signal to climb the tree, no matter how many friends it has to leave down below, no matter how many other caterpillars may be saying, "What are you, crazy? Don't go," it's going to go anyway. Because on some level it knows. And on some level we all actually are able to tap in to that higher calling. And by the way, that higher calling can be found in sweeping the floor, in picking up trash, in cleaning toilets, in making a cup of tea. It has nothing to do with what the actual thing is. It has to do with, are you able through this? Is this taking you to your next level of awakening, of truth, of connection with the divine in yourself? And that's something that only you can answer.